see him suffer. I wanted to see justice be done. I wanted to see the look on his face. I wanted to admit he'd done something wrong, but he's never admitted it. He's never put those people out of misery and said, I'm guilty, I've damaged you. He's never done that. So I still hold him in contempt, because I think you have never given anyone any peace over this. You've never explained your motives. So in my opinion, you know, he should suffer and he should spend a long time in jail.
What do you think his motives were for your case?
Well, definitely money was a factor. I had a good cover for my, you know, I was insured by my company. So he literally had a license to print money with me. He could send me for PET scans, 5 PET scans. We'll give you another operation. We'll give you the major surgery, and then continually to keep me in that loop. Because obviously, when you're told you've got cancer, and I did have cancer, but I didn't have the operation that I needed, and I should have just had a wide local excision, and I had a full mastectomy, and I had chemotherapy, which I didn't need. So to me, it was a money-making machine. But he did have some kind of almost God complex where he tells you he's cured you, you're cured now. And I know consultants don't say you're cured because you know, it's not a term they use in general, but he used to use that term, and I used to walk out thinking, well, he's brilliant, you know, he's actually cured me, and you know, thank God. But other patients I know got secondaries because he left breast tissue, and you know, it's that association. They got secondary cancer, and we'll never know. As a friend of ours once said, you'll never know if it was bad luck that you got cancer, or it was bad luck that your surgeon left this breast tissue. And I know I haven't quoted that properly, but it's in the Kennedy report, and it's from a lady that died, and she was one of his patients. So, you know, I remember all those ladies because I knew them, a lot of those ladies personally. I'm sure there's men out there, male patients, but I can speak for the ones I know that now justice has been done.
You know, you said it was a 4-year struggle. How hard has it been with the campaign?
Well, you know, personally, I got 2 different recalls, and then there's another recall going on. So to me, it's been tough. It's been hard getting the right information. You weren't getting facts. You were getting a lot of cover-up. You were getting, your notes have been lost. This has happened, but now, thank God, you know, it's that struggle's over, and he's going to get what he deserves, please God.
The Kennedy report pointed to concerns raised by colleagues a long time before all of this came to light.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about the fact that these concerns existed for a long time amongst colleagues and in the various hospitals he worked, and nothing seems to have been done?
That's what's so shameful. If you look at the Kennedy report, you look at 1996, when he first operated on a patient and he was under a supervision order, and he basically, that did not follow him to Solihull. And then he continued to keep operating on people, making mistakes. There was numerous opportunities where they could have stopped him. You know, he had consultants that a radiologist back in 2003 that basically said, look at these results, they're not right, you know, look at what's happening. And he had all that, they had all that time to investigate him. The flags were there, and it was an obvious thing that he was guilty.
But they did nothing about it?
They did nothing, because he was a cash cow for Spire Parkway, Spire Little Aston. He was a cash cow for them. He was probably a cash cow for the NHS. He was getting their figures down. What they didn't do is properly audit him, properly look at him, and look at what he was actually doing. His procedures and how he operated was just scandalous. But he became very rich because of it.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Can you just say your name, please, for us all?
Yes, I'm Linda Milband, and I'm a member at Thompson Solicitors.
Can you speak? You're going to have to speak
Yes.
up as well.
Okay. We're at Thompson's Act for approximately 350 ladies who are victims of Mr. Patterson's treatment in the private sector. We have a civil case which will be resolved later this year in the High Court in London, when we hope that we will be able to obtain compensation for all of them.
And how many of those people underwent unnecessary operations like the women in this case, or are there also people in that claim who perhaps needed operations but got the wrong time?
I think there are both types. There are an enormous number of people who have suffered through having the incorrect diagnosis and have had totally erroneous treatment, and there are others who have been overtreated.
Do you feel they've been let down by the system as well as by Mr. Patterson?
I think our case is not only against Mr. Patterson, it is also against Spire Hospitals and the Heart of England Foundation Trust, and our allegations are that neither of the hospital authorities took the necessary steps to protect our victims and clients.
Have you ever come across a case like this?
No, we've never had one where the recall has gone into hundreds, and there may still be victims out there who have not come forward. Okay, thank you.
Well, there we are. We have been hearing about the results of a trial. A surgeon, Ian Patterson, the breast surgeon, has been found guilty of 20 charges altogether, relating mostly to unnecessary operations. And we're hearing there from one patient, Debbie Douglas, who talked great detail about the suffering that she had. And then after her, we had Linda Milban, who was from a solicitor's firm, who say they are now going to pursue a civil case, civil cases for something like 350 people who are their clients. And so a lot of details. Ian Patterson has not yet been sentenced, but we do have a background on all of this. Ian Patterson was 59 years old, and as I say, found guilty on 20 charges relating to 9 women and 1 man. This report from Dominic Hughes.
Surgeon Ian Patterson, well liked and trusted by patients facing the frightening prospect of breast cancer. But for some of them, it was an entirely false diagnosis. One such patient is Frances Perks, who underwent a series of operations and a mastectomy, all of them unnecessary.
How can somebody do that and say things that he did, knowing that you didn't need these operations? How can anybody in their right mind, how can they do that to people? I just find it unbelievable, and how he's made us all suffer, and people as well who've lost their lives. It's pure evil to me, pure evil.
During the trial, the jury heard a succession of patients describe a pattern of behaviour, how Ian Patterson told them they were at risk of cancer, had pre-cancerous cells and needed to have lumps or entire breasts removed. But expert witnesses told the court the risk was non-existent or greatly exaggerated, and that no reasonable surgeon would have acted in the way Ian Patterson did. This case revolved around Ian Patterson's work at 2 private hospitals in the West Midlands, although he also worked for the NHS, where he treated hundreds more patients. The 10 patients whose treatment formed the heart of this case were drawn from a sample group of more than 200 people whose medical notes were assessed by a group of experts. But we may never know exactly how many people were affected by the actions of Ian Patterson. Over a long career, both here in the private sector and in the NHS, he treated thousands of people. And police say that even at this late stage, his motives remain unclear.
He just wanted to play God with their lives. That he took pleasure in telling them that they needed procedures, but no, he could make them better. And he received some perverse pleasure from those practices.
Since 2011, hundreds of patients, men and women like Diane, have now been recalled to hospital to be told they were operated on for no good reason. They're struggling to comprehend what's been done to them.
And I actually stopped and thought, oh my God, this is all adding up and now making a bit of sense, that actually what I'd just been told was actually the truth, and what I was led to believe from 2002 all the way through to 2011 was actually a pack of lies.
2 highly critical inquiries into Ian Patterson's NHS and private sector work have already been carried out. Now the career of this once respected surgeon lies in ruins, while his patients are left to deal with the knowledge they've been assaulted by a man they trusted. Dominic Hughes, BBC News, Nottingham.
Well, let's now go back to our reporter who's at Nottingham Crown Court, Seema Kotecha. Seema, just tell us actually what happened in court, about an hour ago now?
Well, around 1 o'clock,